Right, and Amanda, this lawsuit was filed last year because the female athletes felt like opportunities and championships were being stolen from them.
We just want women's sports to stay women's sports.
That is where Alana Smith stands. She is one of 4 female athletes who filed this lawsuit after the Connecticut Interscholastic Athletic Conference allowed the 2 transgender female athletes to compete, Andrea Yearwood and Terry Miller. The CIAC releasing this statement in response to the ruling. The CIAC continues to welcome and support inclusive education-based athletic participation, including by transgender students, in accordance with its mission to promote meaningful participation in high school sports activities for all student athletes. U.S. District Court Judge Robert Chatigny dismissed the lawsuit, saying there was no dispute to resolve since the 2 transgender female athletes and 2 of the plaintiffs have graduated. And if there happens to have another transgender female athlete to compete, the remaining 2 plaintiffs can seek another injunction. Smith speaking to Fox 61 about her hard work gone to waste.
I was originally supposed to get runner-up in one of my races, and I got 3rd, and 3rd is obviously a great spot, but I deserved to get runner-up, and I knew that all my hard work didn't really get paid off.
A lawyer with the Alliance Defending Freedom, who have been representing the 4 athletes who filed the lawsuit, calling this ruling a slap in the face to women.
Our clients, Alana and her colleagues, Selena, Chelsea, and Ashley, pour everything into their sporting events and try to do their best and be their best. But the court essentially said that their achievements mean nothing.
Meanwhile, an attorney with the American Civil Liberties Union says this ruling is a victory for trans youth.
Trans girls are girls, too, and trying to keep them out of public spaces, out of sports teams, out of certain parts of schools, out of activities, undermines their dignity and their humanity.
In light of this ruling, Southern Connecticut State University will be holding a virtual forum this Thursday to talk more about this topic. And to sign up for the forum, we'll have a link for you on fox61.com. I'm live in Cheshire. Carmen Chow, Fox 61 News.